This is the mini lesson for 8.1. Miss Jackson translates books for a living. She decides to charge her fees to keep up with the cost of living. She will charge an initial fee of $325 to manage each project and $25 per page of translated text. Mrs. Jackson does not consider partial pages in her fees. So first thing it wants us to do is name the quantities that change in this problem. So the number of pages that she translates changes, as does the amount of money that she could earn. So name the things that remain constant. So this is what remains the same. Well, we know that she charges $325 just to manage the project, and she also charges $25 per page of translated text. Which quantity depends on the other? So if we try to phrase this, the amount of money she earns depends on how many pages she translates. This helps me up above. The amount of money earned depends. So the amount of money earned is the dependent variable. The number of pages translated is the independent. This depends on this. Okay, so we want to complete the table that shows the various projects that Miss Jackson has managed recently. So I know here that the pages times $25 plus this $325 fee will give me the total cost. So what I did is I basically wrote that in words. The pages times 25 plus that fee equals the total. This fee is my constant. It remains the same. So pages I'm going to call P times 25 plus that fee of 325 equals the total cost. Better way to write this would be 25P plus 325 equals the total. So I right away wrote this into an equation. So I can see here 1 times 25 plus 325 gives me 350. And 2 times 25 is 50, plus 325 gives me 375. Now I can do this multiple ways. I see that this goes up 25, and I know each page is $25. So if this was 2 pages, this will be 3. And when I look here, this went up by 25, so that means 1 additional page. But now here it jumps. So now it's 10 pages times 25, that's $250. Plus the 325 is 575. So to try to get this one, I'm actually going to use my equation over here. So I know it's 1,150 is the total. So I'm going to just write 25P plus 325 equals 1,150. If I subtract 325 from both sides, 25P equals 825. We divide both by 25. I get P equals 33 pages. So I can do the same thing here. 25P plus 325 this time equals 2,100. Subtract 325 from both sides. 25P equals and if I take 1,775 and divide that by 25, I get 71 pages. Here, I can take 92 times 25, and that gives me 2,300, plus this is 2,625. So what's the least number of pages that she could translate? Well, 1 is the least. And what's the greatest that she's translated recently? 92 pages. So what are the least and greatest amounts of money? She made anywhere from $350 to $2,625. So we want to consider the ranges of values we wrote in questions 5 and 6 and choose upper bounds. This should be whole numbers for the x and y axis that are slightly greater than our greatest value. Then we're going to write in the lower and upper bound values in the table. So first of all, the least number of pages you could translate technically would be 0, and she would earn $0 if she translated that. When I look at the table, the greatest was 92, and I like to use some real round numbers, so I'm going to say 100 is about the greatest. If she translated 100 pages, 100 times the 25 plus the 325, or if I look at this and go, well, let's just kind of take a round number. It's close to this, but it has to be above 3,000, makes sense. So I'm going to use these two numbers because they're very round numbers. The interval means when I do my graph, how am I going to space these out? So I counted first. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 lines on the x-axis. There are 10 on the y. So I took these numbers because they're easily divisible by 10. So on my x-axis, I'm going to go up by 10s. So 10, 20, 30, 40. And remember, it's the lines that we number, not the spaces. And going up, if I want 3,000 to be the top, if I divide it by 10, because there's 10 spaces, means I'm going up by 300. So here's 0, 300, 600, 900, 1,200, and I end up at the 3,000. So we want to create a graph. So I'm using the table, and I'm going to be plotting points. So when the number of pages, and remember, this then is my x, and this is my y. So I'm plotting these two values. One page, $350. So one page is going to be somewhere, if I broke this down into 10, it's going to be really close to 0. And $350 is going to be somewhere maybe around here. 2 pages was $375. That's going to be real close to there. 3 pages was $400. 4 pages, $325. So these are all falling really close together here. Now I have 10 pages is $575. So a little shy of the 600. 33 pages, so 35 would be here. 33 is kind of in between. And I want to go up to 1,150, which is going to be maybe right around here. 71 pages, 2,100, at least that's a nice number. And 92 pages, 2,625. So these should look like they would make a straight line. So now I have to make some decisions. Should the points on the graph be connected by a line? So in this case, the points should not be connected. Because she only charges for full pages. She doesn't charge you $12.50 for a half page. If you go on to another page, she's going to charge you the full $25. So is that data called continuous or discrete? When we do not connect, don't connect is discrete. So we have discrete data. Describe the relationship between the two quantities represented in the graph. So when I look at the graph, what I could see is for every single page that she translates, the cost increases $25. So for every one additional page translated, the money earned increases by 25. So now we're going to use our graph to answer each question. Approximate how much money would Mrs. Jackson earn if she translated 57 pages. So 57 is approximately here. And if I think about this line being connected, it would seem to be about maybe $1,500. Now I can't get an exact off my graph. Off the table I could compute this, but off the graph I can't get an exact. And they want us to approximate how many pages she would need to translate to earn $750. So again, if I look here, 600 to 900, 750 is right in the middle. So I'm trying to see where this line would cross, and it looks like maybe around 15 pages. So again, now it wants us to write an algebraic equation, has an equal sign, to represent the situation and define variables. So I'm basically going off of my table, or I'm going off of my graph. So this is one of my quantities, pages, and the earnings is the other. So I'm going to say P equals pages translated, and I'm saying T equals the total earnings. But I can get that right off my graph. I could get it off my table. I could get it off my table here. And we had actually figured this out in the very beginning when we were filling in our table. The total was $25 times each page plus the 325. Or I could put all of this first and the T second. Doesn't matter, it's the same thing.